Hello. We are back with another slow damage video. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Where did we leave off at? I don't remember. I think we just finished an exploration, and we got like some information as well. We can't look at it right now until I like start, but we can look it over once I do. I remember we got like something for the palette because it was like splatter. So yeah, we got these. Which make me question, like, what is this for? Like, what's gotten into was about, Kotaro, but this was about Toba. So I don't know what they're supposed to do. I'll have to find out, though. Alright. The next day, I was scheduled to work in the morning. Unfortunately, I slept until right before the clinic opened, forcing Taku to wake me up. I was dying to have a smoke before I went downstairs, so I grabbed the pack off the coffee table and lit one. As I was taking a drag, there was a light knock at the door.
ちょっといいか。
Oh god. What? Are you firing me for real? Taku walked into the room and shut the door behind him. Then he folded his arms and looked at me sternly. I figured he'd chew me out for smoking instead of heading straight to work, but apparently not. I set my cigarette in the ashtray, turned my face to exhale the smoke away, then looked back at him.
さっき酔っ払って腕に怪我をしたって患者さんが来たんだが、どうも気になってな。詳しく話を聞かせてもらったんだ。そしたら、ただ酔って怪我をしたわけじゃなく、途中で意識を失って、目が覚めたらいつの間にか包帯が巻かれていたらしい。それって。
He nodded. First, they blacked out. Then they woke up with a perfectly patched wound. Their circumstances were exactly the same as mine.
その患者さんは風俗嬢でな。昨夜泥酔した状態で帰ろうとしていた時に意識を失って目が覚めたら路上で寝ていたんだそうだ。腕の怪我はその時に気づいたと。
So wait, they left her on the side of the road, but they left Hoa in an apartment full of plants. What's the difference? Why did they treat him better than her?
他に被害はなく腕の傷も手当て済みだったらしい。
Uh-oh, hold on. I'm sorry about that. Had to let the cat out.
部屋には連れ込まれなかったのか。
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
みたいだな。お前と状況が全く同じというわけじゃないが、少なくとも怪我の手当てはされていた。乱暴されたとか何かを盗まれたってわけでもない。で、最近この手の患者が増えてるって話をしたのを覚えてるか。実際巷で少し噂になってるらしい。
噂？
外で意識を失うと目が覚めた時に覚えのない怪我をしていて、しかも治療されてるってやつだ。酔狂な女神なんてあだ名がついてるらしくてな。
What the fuck is that?
女神？女なのか？
いや、わからん。意識のない怪我人を放っておけずに手当てをするってところからナイチンゲールでも連想したんじゃないのか。
He shrugged wearily.
とりあえず今の話を伝えに来た。あとそれ吸ったらすぐに降りてこい。
He pointed at the ashtray, then turned and left the room. The goddess of whimsy. Was she the person who brought me to that apartment full of plants? You'd have to be a goddamn saint to take a strange man in off the street. Did that kind of Good Samaritan even exist in this day and age? I plucked my cig from the ashtray and took one last deep drag. Okay, another clue. As I sat behind the reception counter, working my morning shift at the clinic, a cheerful voice rang out across the waiting room.
こんにちは。花の配達です。
Oh my god, is it the flower guy? A man approached the counter, carrying a large bouquet. Holy, that's
こ
large.
ちら前回と同じく匿名希望の方からです。
It's definitely him. Has to be. I rose to my feet and accepted the bouquet over the counter. Briefly, I caught a whiff of a peculiar smell, but then it was gone again. Was it the flowers? The man's smoke was a bright, vibrant reddish purple. I felt like I recognized it from somewhere recently. That's right. The flower shop. The clerk at the flower shop had the exact same smoke. And of course, it's gonna make you question, why is he hiding himself, eh? I looked up at his face to confirm.
こちらが明細書になります。
He offered me the paper with an amiable smile. Yeah, that's him, alright.
どうも。
Right as I took the payment slip, Ray popped out from the hallway.
あら、また花の配達？
He rushed over excitedly and took the bouquet from me.
今度はゼラニウムかしら。真っ赤で情熱的ね。これまた前と同じ匿名さんから？
Alright, I know it's like really early, but I also haven't really eaten anything since I woke up. So until I finish eating, I'm not gonna read anything. I'm sorry.
はい。 とっても素敵なお花を送ってもらって嬉しいんだけど、やっぱりお礼も言えないのは申し訳ない気持ちになるわ。こうして飾られていることが何よりのお礼になると思いますよ。送られた方もきっと見ていると思いますし。そうね。だといいけど。
どんなやつだ？
え？
名前は明かせなくても容姿や性格を教えるくらいならいいだろ
う。そうですね。差し支えない範囲でお伝えすることしかできませんが、50代から60代の優しそうな男性です。やだ、ナイスミドルじゃない。
他には？
すみません、これ以上は。 とは彼を困らせても仕方がないでしょ。お仕事中に足止めしちゃってごめんなさいね。花屋のロゼのお兄さん、お名前は？
生稲です。生きるに稲穂の稲で。
生稲さんね。覚えておくわ。
よろしくお願いします。
生稲さんか。今時珍しく純朴そうで好感触よね。
ああいうのがタイプなのか、お前。
タイプかと聞かれるとちょっと違うかな。ってそれより仕事。ほらとわも早く。そういえばまた来たのよ、花が。
前にも来てた匿名の患者さんからってやつか？
そうでね、配達に来た店員さん、前回も同じ人だったらしいんだけど、生稲さんって言ってね、素直そうな可愛い人なの。
やめとけ。下手に手を出して変な噂を立てられたら困るぞ。
失礼ね。手なんか出さないわよ。人を分別のないけだものみたいに言うのやめてちょうだい。ってそうじゃなくて、花よ花。今回は赤いゼラニウムって花だったんだけど、その花言葉なんだと思う？
花言葉なんて知らんぞ。なんだ、そんなに面白い言葉だったのか？
とは
さあ、
赤いゼラニウムの花言葉はね、あなたがいる幸せですって。
お？
前回のガーベラが崇高美で、今回はあなたがいる幸せよ。なんだか片思いのメッセージみたいでロマンチックじゃない？
そうかもしれんな。
やだ、全然盛り上がんないし、つまんない
って言われてもな。
もしよ、送った人が意図的にガーベラとゼラニウムを選んだんだとしたら、誰のことを思ってるのかしら。やっぱりタク。
妄想もほどほどにな。
ちょっと何よその目。人を憐れむような目で見るのやめてくれる？
Okay, I'm back. My goodness, that was so good. Man, I love pizza. It's so good. Especially if you get it from like a really good place, man. Our utter lack of enthusiasm made Ray Pelt slips in defeat.
送ってきたのは50代から60代くらいの男らしいけど。
True. But no, the sender is actually the flower shop man. It's so obvious. You know, who he's sending them to, I don't know.
50代から60代の男？なんでそんなこと知ってるんだ？
花屋の店員に聞いた。
Like, I feel like most people would be like, oh, it's for Toa, but you know, it might not be. It might actually be for Taku. Like, Ray guessed, you know? I mean, who doesn't like a rugged kind of guy?
その特徴に当てはまる患者さんなんてたくさんいるぞ。
花を送ってきそうで、シャイで、穏やかそうな感じの人よ、きっと。そういう患者さんに心当たりある？
But yeah, I wonder what the deal is. Okay, because I didn't want to make this a long video, so I'll try to go as far as I can, because I really want to know. Like, what's the flower shop guy's deal? Murmuring, Taku folded his arms and tilted his head in contemplation.
なんとも言えんな。医者の前ではみんなおとなしいもんだしな。
I mean, it'd be kind of awkward if you're like getting a checkup and you start flirting with your doctor. And your doctor's like, listen, just let me do my job, please. You can flirt with me after hours. Like, bro, I don't think now's the time to start flirting with me while I'm like checking your pulse.
それもそうね。じゃあ、タクが聞ける範囲で患者さんに聞いてみるのはど
う？あなたが花の送り主ですかって？
I mean, it wouldn't hurt.
そうよ。
できなくはないが、わざわざ匿名で送ってきてるのに、はいそうですって返事すると思うか？
I mean, he's also right about that too. Like, people who want to remain anonymous will do their utmost to remain anonymous, you know.
まあ、それもそうよね。
Ray bit his nail in frustration.
とはいえ、二度あることは三度あるって言うからな。また花が届くかもしれんぞ。
Never twice without thrice? I've never heard that actually. Like, obviously, everybody knows third time's the charm. So, you know, I thought maybe he'd say something like that. I mean, I guess maybe they mean the same kind of thing. Like, I'm guessing this kind of means like something is more likely to happen a third time if it's already happened twice. Maybe? Interesting.
その行為自体はとっても嬉しいんだけどね。もらいっぱなしでお礼の一つも言えないなんて、なんだか申し訳なくて。
まあな。
ねえ、やっぱり思ったんだけど。
Ray looked at us pensively.
花を送ってきた人って、もしかしたら本当にタクに思いを寄せてる患者さんなんじゃないかしら。
なんだって？
それなら匿名にしたいっていう気持ちも理解できるじゃない？しかも男の人でしょ？だったらなおさら。
やめろやめろ。
Taku waved a dismissive hand.
もしそうだったら禁断のラブロマンスよ。自分より年下の医者に恋焦がれる老紳士。
You know what's crazy? That's probably a manga somewhere. There's probably a manga somewhere.
お前な、人を勝手に妄想に巻き込むなよ。そういうのは頭の中だけでやってくれ。
ひどい。ちょっといいなって思っただけなのに。ねえとは。ねえ、どう思う？
どうでもいい。
You should have expected that one, right?
ひどい!
Ray was getting unreasonably worked up. I just ignored him and drank my lukewarm coffee. Okay. I mean, I figured at some point we get the flower language as a clue. Alright. We only get to present a clue once, right? But we can't even get to that point if we don't get the objective. Oh god. Yes, guys, I do still have the notes that I wrote from like the very first video. I was scheduled to work the morning shift from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., then returned for the evening shift from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. After that, Arimura took over for me, so I went straight back to my apartment. The period from 7 p.m. to 1 a.m. was known as the night shift. This was the longest of the shifts, but in exchange, there were far fewer patients to interact with. As I smoked a cigarette, I contemplated going to roost. Figured I might wander around town a bit beforehand. Maybe I can find out more about the goddess of whimsy or whatever. Oh my god, exploration, let's go. Yeah, I know, we probably like seen some of this anyway. But I'm just doing it so it could be like green. So I assume that green means I've pretty much done everything there. Okay, so it seems like this has something. There's commotion. There's someone here. A break. A book. And that's yeah. Blah, blah, blah. All right, let's start at the clinic. Since we're like already here in our apartment. Just then, I heard footsteps approaching.
あ
As I turned the corner, I collided with a guy running at full speed. Oh yeah, I said I wasn't gonna read during explorations. Whoops. My fault. Yeah. Pretty psycho. I mean, I think Intoa is more empty than psycho. Empty, hollow, stuff like that. I mean, then again, this is still like the very first chapter. So who knows what he's gonna turn into in later chapters.
怖
You know what I love? It's like I'm just imagining this like in real time, where like they bump into each other, and then Hinata is just sitting there yapping his ear off while Towa's just standing there, arms at the side, like, like oh my god, because he's going on and on and on, and Towa's just standing there, like you guys know that meme where the dude he's just like staring into the camera with like a really like forced tight smile. I'll probably put it up. So that's literally what it feels like. Oh my god.
そうだな
He talked my ear off for all of that. Hinata, what is your problem? Oh my god. Thank you for that lecture. Thanks for the lecture I never asked for. I mean, I guess I can, like, read this part, though. As I stood around and gazing down the street, a flustered man shot past my line of sight.
Yo.
Oh, man. Honestly, you told us that kind of guy, though. It's like, did you see somebody run past? And bro won't lie for you. Be like, right over there. The person be like, shit. But then again, I also understand because, like, he doesn't want to get involved, so might as well, you know. Oops. Keep forgetting it's not space. Okay. I mean, I guess it's used for something? I don't know.
Oh.
Oh, jeez. Oh, well, you might as well talk. What do you what? I love how no matter what I choose, it goes up.
Positive.
No. I used to remember what that meant. No, I don't remember. Oh my God, this is so fucking high. Bro, too busy watching anime. Sure. Alright. Let us go here. You know what? I'm just gonna go down the list. I mean, I don't see why not, you know? I turned to find a tall blonde man waving at me in the distance. Oh, is that mine? Yeah, he's looking for you, bro.
Yo.
聞いてよ。あ、
Alright, let's yap. Is it poisoned? Turn him down gently. Be like, I'm not hungry.
Negative. Yeah.
Oh.
だね。
Oh.
おい。
はいよ。
Hi, Mike. Okay, well, found him. Oh my God, we're going to a bridge. Can I throw myself off?
Oh, Toa.
Oh, I was about to say Sakaki. No. What about her? Aww. Taku, ever so kind.
Na.
But I know he's got some skeletons in his closet. I mean, why not? He wants me to accept it. Just take it.
Positive. どうも。
Hey, you might like it. You never know.
おー
Bro, you know I barely eat.
そうか。
Okay, I really want to know, like, what is this for? I don't think they ever explained it. Or they did and I wasn't paying attention.
それは
これはな、よし、
I took them. Alright, to the bridge. Take him to the bridge. Sorry. Oh man. This is the big bridge at the southernmost tip of Hagoita Street, Shinkoumi's main arterial road? Oh, it's supposed to be like artery? Oh, I see, I see. It's the only bridge over the sea between districts D and E, and the water taxis are underground tunnels. For that reason, you have to take this bridge to get out of District E. For the most part, only the locals use this bridge, no tourists. In the early hours, you mostly see students and office workers making their morning commute. Once the sun sets, you start seeing more prostitutes and partygoers. For the residents of District E, this bridge is a vital gateway.
トワじゃない。
It's... what damn it, what's your name again? Ray. There we go. I blinked. Oh my goodness. Alright. Sorry about that.
そうだ。
No, still giving me a bit of issue. Why not just take the money out of it, then return it? That'd be a better idea. Look, I'm only promoting stealing in games, and do not actually steal IRL.
あ、ね
It's not worth it. I didn't even know he did. No.
ネガティブに。いや、
え。も
I'm sure.
へえ。
Bro said
う。
cool.
あ
He doesn't.
Mm.
よし。うん。
ちょっとね。
Oh lord.
は
Look, that's totally what. Maybe? I think that should be a definitely. What do you mean, maybe? The person, maybe? Haguita. Ooh. Ha. Hotel. Reuses Komeyo. No, Komebo? Komeyo? This is Haguita Street in District D. This road passes through every Shinkoumi district from A to E. If you travel west down Haguita, you'll reach District C. Travel north and you'll reach District B. District B is considered the entertainment district. The greater Aburo neighborhood is located here. It's the biggest district in terms of land. Maguita Street features a wide variety of businesses, from restaurants to recreational facilities to hosts and hostesses, nightclubs, and more. With the constant traffic, it's the noisiest part of town all year round. As I was walking down the street, I saw AAG standing outside the convenience store. He was frowning and gazing out at the street like he had something on his mind. Huh? What's up, bomboy? Might as well.
ネガティブによう
それじゃ
Okay. Alright, I guess it's time to go to roost. Wait, they're still at the bridge, hold on. It's probably just like the dialogue, but... Men leaning against the building walls and staring into space. I mean, I guess they have a reason. Even if we don't understand it. Yeah, pretty much looked at everything. I really want to know what the palette is for. Like usual, I headed to roost. As the smooth jazz played overhead, I sat down at the bar. The place was kinda dead, and the manager looked bored. Ray was nowhere to be seen, so he probably wasn't working today.
いらっしゃいウイスキーロックで
The manager promptly started making my drink. A few moments later, he placed a glass full of amber liquid in front of me. I grabbed it and took a sip, enjoying the burn of the liquor against my throat. Then I pulled out a cigarette. Right as I lit it, however, I realized the manager was staring at me. I tilted my head inquiringly. And then he turned and called to a man sitting at the end of the counter.
お待ちかねのユーフォリアが来たよ
What the fuck? At this, the man whipped his head up.
トワ君彼がフレーズだよ
Hello, flower shop owner. I'm just guessing. The phrase, the artist of the wound photo posted on the blog. I looked over, and my eye widened. I guess because he doesn't have his right one anymore. Oh, so they are for Toa. It was Ikuina. Ikuina, as in the flower delivery man. With his glass in one hand and a large paper bag in the other, he rose from his stool and moved over next to me. For a fleeting moment, a familiar scent tickled my nose. What is that?
こんばんは
I'm sorry. I'm just trying to figure out what this man's deal is. Do you want to be like his model? Is that it? Like, why are you trying so hard?
まさかあんただったとはな。
No. Imagine being told that. At this, the manager looked at each of us in turn.
もしかして知り合い？
あ、はい、ちょっと。
驚いたな。そんな偶然があるんだね。
本当に。
Oh my god, is he blushing? Ikuina nodded bashfully, then looked up at me.
俺も驚きました。まさか。
とわでいい。
とわさん。
Smiling, he repeated my name carefully.
憧れのユーフォリアがとわさんだったなんて。
憧れ？俺の絵を知ってるのか？
はい、とわさんの絵すごく好きなんです。
There was a feverish glimmer to Ikuina's gaze.
初めて見た時にあまりの感動で動けなくなってしまって一目惚れでした。
Oh my god.
そのくらい魅力的だったんです。言葉なんかじゃ言い表せないような、心臓に突き刺さるような衝撃を受けました。
大げさだな。
そんなことないです。でもその絵を描いていた人と実はすでに出会っていたなんて、運命ってすごいですね。
The word destiny instantly made me suspicious. I took a sip of whiskey.
俺もブログであんたの作品を見た。あの画像は本物の傷じゃないんだろ。
At this, Ikuina looked away, still smiling.
そうです。あれは花を使ってるんです。
花？
はい。花を潰して形を整えて画像処理ソフトで少し加工してます。
Flowers. Since Ikuina worked at a flower shop, he probably had easy access to whatever flowers the store failed to sell. Still, who would have thought to use flowers to create the appearance of a cut?
花を傷に見せようと思った理由は？
それは
Hesitantly, he fell silent and looked away. Pinching my stick between my fingers, I flicked the ash into an ashtray, then took another drag. I was planning to wait until Ikuina started talking, but the silence lingered. I glanced over to find him gazing passionately at my hand.
気になるか？
I waved the hand that was seemingly the focus of his attention, and he snapped to his senses.
あ、すみません。俺つい。
いや、傷か。
I held up the back of my hand, where raised scars snaked like worms. Ikuina was immediately drawn in once more.
とわさん、この傷跡は。
手だけじゃない。体中にある。
I rolled up my coat sleeve to reveal my arm. His eyes swiftly glued to the countless dark hot scars. His reddish purple smoke brightened. What the fuck?
どうしてこんなに。
好きだからな。
切り刻まれることが。
I nodded. He frowned at me in disbelief, but not in disgust.
とわさん、
He looked up at me with determination in his eyes.
お願いがあるんです。とわさん、ユーフォリアは絵のモデルを募集してるんですよね。
ああ、
俺をモデルにしてもらえませんか？
As he spoke, he fixed me with a beseeching look.
ダメだ。
I refused him point blank.
絵は俺が描きたいと思ったら描く。今のあんたに対しては
Ooh,
そう思わない。
ooh, it's gonna hurt his confidence.
そうなんですね。残念です。
Well, if you won't paint me, nobody else will get painted. True. He'd probably crash out, be like, fine, if you won't paint me, you'll never paint anyone again. He was clearly disappointed, but didn't seem ready to give up.
でも今の俺に対してってことはいつかは描いてくれる可能性があるかもしれないってことですよね。
See, this is why you just have to flat out say, I don't want to paint you at all. You know?
ま、そうとも言うな。
Though I couldn't guarantee when that day would roll around.
俺諦めたくないからよかったら連絡先を交換してもらえませんか？
No. Apparently this guy was more persistent than he looked. His eyes remained firm.
ああ、
Well, I guess it would be less painful if he just gives in. I nodded without hesitation. He blinked at me in surprise. I had no real reason for agreeing to his request. I just didn't mind giving up my contact info to whoever wanted it. He ceases to amaze me. Oh man. We pulled out our cell phones and exchanged numbers.
ありがとうございます。そうだ、もしよかったら。
Ikuina lifted the paper bag at his feet. Then he reached inside and pulled out a single blue flower.
これ青いけどバラなんです。綺麗でしょ。売り物にならない花を店からもらってきたので少し痛みがあるんですけど。
As I took the rose, he smiled.
今日はお会いできて本当に嬉しかったです。ありがとうございました。
それ、アブさんか？
I interrupted the flow of the conversation to indicate his glass. He hastily looked down at his drink.
あ、はい、そうです。よくわかりましたね。
前に店長に飲まされたからな。好きなのか？
はい。トワさんはどうですか？アブさん。
It's drinkable.
嫌いじゃない。
Basically what I said. It's drinkable.
そうなんですね。それじゃあまた今度ゆっくり飲みましょう。
He downed the rest of his drink and rose from his stool. Then, with a polite bow, he headed to the register to pay his tab. I sipped on my drink, listening to the tap of his shoes as he left the bar. As the alcohol slid down my throat, the manager shot me a look.
どうだった彼？
まあま
モデルとしては？
あ、なしだな。
Damn said, no way. Damn.
そうなんだ。残念。でもあの画像の作者だからね。もしかしたら化けるかもよ。
かもな。
Okay, so what kind of people does he paint then? That's what I want to know. With that brusque retort, I crushed my cigarette in the ashtray. Then, on a whim, I glanced at the blue rose on the counter. Under the bar lights, the veins in the petals stood out sharply. After I left Roost, I staggered home in the direction of Murase Clinic. At one point, I paused and looked over my shoulder. I thought I felt someone's eyes on me. But no matter how many times I checked, all I saw were dark buildings with no signs of human life. I heard a car approaching, and then heard it pass by. Guess it was all in my head. Honey, no, it's never in your head. Just your gut. With that thought, I kept going. Let's see. Victim speaks out about the mysterious goddess of whimsy. Are there really secret death matches? We got the scoop. A source we call A says they were knocked unconscious, fell out on a delivery, and woke up with a bandaged arm, but who was behind it all? Really? So they stopped approaching people passed out drunk. Okay. When I returned, well, English. When I returned to my apartment, I switched on the TV, sat down on the sofa, and started drawing in my sketchpad. All my energy was focused on drawing a flower. Specifically, the blue rose Ikuina gave me at Roost. For some reason, as soon as I got home, I felt a strong impulse to draw it. I wasn't sure why, maybe because of its unusual color. Generally, I prefer to draw people. I had no interest in landscapes or still life, so I rarely drew them. My desire to draw was erratic at best, and I was only struck with the impulse on rare occasions. Even I couldn't predict when the urge would strike. Occasionally, I paused to look at the blue rose as I worked. Flowers were delicate, soft, living things. They needed sustenance to stay alive, and without it, they withered and died. Just like people. But I'm not wrong though, just like people. It was smooth and rounded, and if I crushed it in my palm, it leaked fluid. I had never stopped to examine a flower before, but now that I was trying to capture one on paper, I could kind of understand why phrase liked them so much. The faintly damp petals were reminiscent of skin, the veins not unlike those in a human body, moisture like blood. Why are we comparing a flower tail with the parts of the human body? Oh my god. Normally roses were red, but if red was the color of passion, then perhaps blue was the color of cold rationality. What did blue roses signify anyway? Time to call Ray. I set my pencil down. He grabbed my phone. He really is calling him. Okay. Oh, well, maybe he might be looking it up himself. Okay. That's also an option. Oh, man. Pink gerberas meant sublime beauty. Red geraniums meant, I'm happy that you're here. Was there a meaning for blue roses, too? I decided to search it up. Found it. That's cute, Hanapedia. Blue roses didn't exist in nature, so their meaning was originally unattainable. But as science progressed, they changed the meaning to dream come true. An impossible dream made real. Ikuina's gleeful face flashed through my mind. He said he loved my art, that I was his favorite artist. From his perspective, perhaps it really was a dream come true. But damn, he called you a sublime beauty. I gazed at the flower in my hand. Its petals were hanging open limply, and the leaves were on the verge of withering. When I leaned in, I could smell a strange, sour smell faintly mixed in with the natural fragrance of the rose. It was just a flower, its life easily terminated by human hands. If it were a sentient creature, what would it say with its last breath? I think he's been drinking too much tonight. Oh no. Oh. I rested the rose on my palm and slowly closed my fingers around it. A dull blue lump withered in my hand. In the darkness, it almost looked like a rotting human heart. And ripped to the flower. Damn. Shimmering scarlet light, swaying gently like flower petals. The light was fuzzy, like vision blurred by tears. I was sitting, knees tucked up to my chin. I could sense someone kneeling close beside me. A slender hand reached out and cupped my cheek. Following the fingers, I looked up. Silhouetted by the scarlet light, their face was inscrutable. I could hear them speaking to me in a soft voice, but couldn't make out the words either. Softly, they stroked my cheek. Oh, don't touch me. The hand was sweet and delicate and tragically cold. I mean, some people have cold hands, right? It's just usually we associate like cold hands with dead bodies, you know? The next day, technically, I was scheduled to work the morning shift, but I didn't wake up until minutes beforehand. Considering Taku didn't come to wake me up, I was ahead of schedule by my standards. True. True. An hour after the clinic opened, I finally arrived downstairs. There, I found Arimura doing my job. He let me take his place, glaring at me all the while. So, I followed my usual dull routine at work, and then in a blink, lunchtime rolled around.
こんにちは。
I looked. No, no, no. I heard a soft voice and looked up. Standing there was Mikulina holding some kind of basket.
先日はどうも。
His lips curled in a giddy grin as he spoke under his breath.
どうも。
Reflexively, I inclined my head slightly.
村瀬クリニックさんへお届け物です。
As he spoke, he raised a basket in his hand for me to see. Inside were small purple flowers. Those look familiar. I used to know their name.
はい。
He shot me a guilty look. The clinic had now received 3 different bouquets. I rose to my feet and accepted the basket of flowers along with the payment slip. As I did, I caught a hint of a peculiar scent, one I'd smelled a few times before. For a moment, it reminded me of the absinthe I drank at Roost, but it wasn't quite the same.
実は今日診察もお願いしたいと思って来たんです。
診察？
はい。怪我をしてしまって。
You're He rolled up his sleeve to reveal a white bandage. Sorry, I was thinking. I'm like, don't tell me he's gonna sit there and start putting scars on himself. Just so tall like him. That's insane, bro. Don't do that.
硬い茎を切るときに手が滑ってハサミで切ってしまって。
うちを受診するのは初めて。
Yes, he is.
はい。
What do you mean? I set the basket of flowers on the counter, picked up a pen and a clipboard bearing our new patient form, and handed them to him.
この紙に記入を。
He took the form and sat down on an empty bench to fill it out. Just then, Ray appeared at the end of the hall. He wasn't scheduled to work today, but he didn't have plans, so he came to help regardless. Sounds like me for real.
あら、何そのカゴって、もしかして。
ああ。
He pulled the basket close and frowned down at the contents.
また匿名希望さんからなのね。これで3回目。もしかしたら LINE した時に自分が送った花が飾られているのを見てテンションが上がってみたいな感じで続いちゃってるのかしら。花は可愛いけど。
With a strained smile, he admired the blossom.
この花、パンジーね。
There we go, pansies.
とっても綺麗な紫。花言葉は。
It's okay, well, I forget. The quick Google search, you know? You can find it.
確か、思慮深いとか、物思いとか、そんな感じだった。
You guys have phones for a reason, use them.
パンジーってもっとロマンチックな花言葉だったような気がするんだけど。とは知ってる？
と思うか。
そうよね。
I'm like, why are you asking me?
あなたのことで胸がいっぱい。
Whoa, calm down. Calm down. Whoa. I turned at the sound of the quiet voice. Ikuino was standing there, clipboard in hand. Evidently, he had finished filling out the form. Ray and I exchanged a glance. Then Ikuino smiled bashfully.
すみません。紫のパンジーの英語の花言葉です。話が聞こえてきたからつい。
You're all I can think about. You're all that I want. And this is what this guy sounds like. You're all I want. You're all I need.
いや、びっくりした。愛の告白かと思っちゃったじゃない。でも、すぐに花言葉が出てくるなんて、さすがは花屋さんね。
Bro, okay, like, you have to understand, Toa doesn't want you. Like, I'm sorry to say that, but he doesn't want you. You gotta slowly let these feelings die, man. Okay? Don't be creepy.
そんな。
He fumbled shyly in response to Ray's flattery. I shifted my gaze to the purple flowers in the basket. You're all I can think about. You're all that I want. Without you, I will surely die. That was the significance of purple pansies. Gerbera, sublime beauty. Geranium, I'm happy that you're here. When you put all three together, it really started to feel like a passionate message. Almost like the sender was madly in love. These anonymous gifts each secretly possessed deep significance, almost like a cry for help. Of course, it wouldn't be unreasonable to dismiss it all as coincidence. But I sensed someone's gaze and looked up. Ikuina was staring straight at me. Damn, bro. You're not even being subtle about it. I mean, look, I've never been madly in love with somebody, but I guess if you are, it's kind of hard not to like look at them, want to be next to them, think about them, and whatnot. So like I get that, but it's like, bro, the least you can do is try to be a little bit subtle. Just try a little. And like last time, there was a feverish look in his. Oh god. Oh god, you better run. Run. The smoke that rose up from him took on a faint red tint, swaying endlessly. He was the only one who knew what the mystery sender looked like. Conversely, no one else knew except him. Gerberas, geraniums, pansies. Ikuina had delivered all three. Well, not the first time. Or did he? Because I remember the first time it was just Arimura saying, hey, we got a delivery. So maybe he did the first time as well. You don't know. And then I remembered the blue rose he gave me. Blue roses. Dream come true.
これお願いします。
He offered me the clipboard holding his completed form, all without once breaking eye contact. Damn. So damn bad. For a few seconds, we stared at each other in silence. And then I took the clipboard.
生稲さん、診察を受けるの？
はい、少し怪我をしてしまったので。
あらやだ。大丈夫？呼ばれるまで椅子に座って待っててね。
はい。
それじゃ、花は預かるわよ。
Ray took the basket and the payment slip and walked off down the hall. I stared at my work screen, feeling Ikuina's gaze boring into me. I thought back to the night I encountered him at Roost. I couldn't prove it, but my gut was telling me something. And you better damn listen to it, boy. When it was time for his appointment, Ikuina went into the exam room. Then he returned to the waiting room 10 minutes later. He's watching me again. I always feel like somebody's watching me. I'm sorry, there's just like so many things that fit this moment so fucking well. I could feel it without even looking up to confirm. Ikuina was staring at me. Pretending not to notice, I kept working. And then it came time for Ikuina to pay his bill.
生稲さん。生稲隆さん。
Ikuina stood up and walked to the reception counter. When I looked up at him, he gazed back at me intensely.
1070円になります。
Bro was so down bad.
トワさん。
As he placed his cash onto the receipt tray, he spoke to me in a breathy whisper.
本当は今日作品を作ろうとして失敗しちゃったんです。これ。
He rubbed his arm as he spoke.
結構ざっくりやっちゃったんですけど、跡が残ったりするのかな、トワさんみたいに。
Apparently, this was Grace talking. He spoke as if this was some accident, and yet his voice carried a hint of glee, almost like he was hoping for a scar. Back at Roost, he kept staring at mine, with a hungry look in his eyes, now that I thought about it. Yep, this is definitely the very, very definition of a cult fan. Like, deep cult fan. Oh my god. Clearly this guy was into scars. Or was he just curious about them? Most people just like the aesthetic. I had no interest in those people. Oh, maybe that's why I don't like him. So which one was he?
お大事に。
Once he finished paying, I spoke in a cold, steely voice.
それから花もいらない。
Oh! Damn. Damn. This is surely not gonna come back to bite you. He gasped and furrowed his brow. Then he turned on his heel and strode out of the building. With this, the suspicions were confirmed. I swear. You better be careful that he doesn't come back here with fucking garden shears and tries to kill you. The anonymous flower sender was Ikuina. And all the flower's secret meanings were directed at me, the artist Euphoria. I couldn't stand roundabout methods like his. Normally I'd cut ties over it. But not this time. He was Frace, the artist behind the wound photo. And I couldn't deny he had potential as a motive. As Euphoria, I captured humanity's darkest desires on my canvas. And there was at least a chance that he might secretly fit the bill. Therefore, I decided to keep an eye on him for a little longer. Wow. The purple pansies were the last anonymous flower delivery received. Ikuina, or Grace, was nowhere to be seen. Instead, he started submitting a lot of art pieces to the fourth phase. Now the images were brighter and more powerful. They were all kind of samey. Still, he was moving in a positive direction. If this was a direct result of me rejecting him, then perhaps this was a prelude to the real deal. Once all traces of Ikuina vanished, I went back to my regular slothful life. That day, I drifted in and out of sleep until well past noon. Then the door flew open and Taku ran in. I wasn't scheduled to work today, so it had to be an emergency. I got dressed and headed down to the first floor. When I entered the exam room, the first thing I heard was a man groaning. I don't believe that. He was a small-time gangster in a cheap, brightly colored shirt, stained red around the midsection. He was lying on the exam table, grimacing in pain while Ray examined his wound. Relieved, Ray backed away from the patient, and Taku immediately started treatment. Ray whispered as he walked up beside me. Ray was referring to an elderly patient who would demand an explanation for his prescription every time he went up to pay for his treatment. Of course, Taku always gave him this information during his appointment, but he still questioned everything. I dealt with him a few times myself. And Taku had opened the man's shirt, who was now carefully examining his injury.
厳密にはちょっと違うっつうか。
What do you mean, kind of, but not exactly? What?
というと
デスマッチでボコボコにされてエリアの外へ逃げたんです。でも途中で限界が来て道端でひっくり返っちゃって、そのまま意識がなくなって、目が覚めたら誰かが近づいてくる気配がして、それで俺をボコったやつが追いかけてきたんだと思って逃げようとしたら、すっげえ腹が痛くて動けなくて、腹を見たら
切られた傷があったと。
はい、もう本当に死ぬかと思いました。起きたら腹が切れてるし、血は止まらないし、痛いしでパニックになっちゃって。
Ray and I stepped in as needed, following orders as Taku gave them.
よし、終わったぞ。
Once Taku finished treating his patient, he rose from his stool.
痛み止めと抗生物質を出しておくから最後まで飲み切るように。
はい。
The patient was still grimacing in pain, but his condition was much more stable. Taku shot a pointed look at me and Ray, then left the exam room. The two of us followed suit.
昨日と一昨日も酔っ払って外で寝てたら怪我をしたっていう患者さんが来たな。
最近多いわよね。水鏡な女神だっけ？妙に噂になってるやつ。
それは解放する方だ。今回は言うなれば切り裂き魔だな。
So wait, who's the person going around patching them up? Ray squinted back at him dubiously.
じゃあ水鏡な女神さんは切り裂き魔にやられた人の怪我を治してるってこと？
全員が同一犯にやられたという断定はできん。模倣犯という線もある。そう毎回水鏡な女神が都合よく通りかかって直してくれるわけでもないだろう。
それは確かにそうだけど、ドアの時は手当てされてたのよね。
ああ、
手当てされた人は全員意識を失ってる間に怪我をしている。全てが同一犯じゃない可能性はあるけど、怪我と手当てがセットになってるパターンが確実にあるのよね。でもそれっておかしくない？手当てされてる人もみんな覚えのない怪我をしてるわけでしょ？覚えがないってことは意識を失ってる間に傷つけられたってことよね。じゃあ意識がある状態で怪我をした人が水鏡な女神らしき人に手当てをしてもらったって話はないのかしら？
もしそんなことがあったら女神さんの具体的な目撃情報が出回るはずだな。
でしょ？でもそういう話は全然聞かないのよね。ってことはもう気を失わせて怪我をさせる人と手当てをする人がグルとか？
さすがにそれは考えすぎだろう。そもそもなんでそんなことをする必要があるんだ？
それはわからないけど、何か目的があるとか。
苦しいな。
そっか。
Conflicted, Ray fell silent. The conversation ended there, and we went back to the exam room. Oh jeez. The plot thickens. I have no idea what's going on anymore. After the man left the clinic, Ray and I cleaned up the exam room.
水鏡な女神と切り裂き魔。トアはどう思う？
Bruh, I don't care. It was the first he'd spoken in quite some time, so clearly he was hung up on it.
さあな。
もうちょっとは考えてよ。自分の身に起こったことじゃない。
He doesn't care, Ray. I swear you do this every time. You expect something from him, and then get disappointed when he literally just sits there and gives like very vague answers. Or it just says, beats me, don't know, I don't care. and stuff like that. Like, bro, keep setting yourself up for disappointment. Stop.
言われても。
も
Grumbling, Ray started to tie up the garbage bag. Just then, I caught sight of a discolored flower stem. The anonymous bouquets had withered and died.
うそういえば匿名希望さんの花止まったわね。
ああ、
He tied the bag up tightly.
生稲さんも全然見ないし、匿名さんからの花が連続して届いた時はどうしようって思ったけど、いざ来なくなるとそれはそれで少し寂しいわ。
わがままだな。
True. You can't sit there and complain, oh, too many flowers. But then when they stop coming, you're like, oh, I want the flower. You can't have your cake and eat it too.
本当にね。生稲さん、今時珍しい爽やか青年で、密かに心の癒しだったんだけどな。あ、
His face lit up like he thought of something brilliant.
生稲さんが働いてる花屋に行けば元気かどうかわかるじゃない。
そうだな。
とは言ってきてよ。
No.
なんで俺が。
I looked at him reproachfully.
行ったことあるでしょ。
And that doesn't mean I can't take you with me. I can show you where to go.
場所くらいすぐにわかるだろ。
And that too.
これは私の勘なんだけど。
He fixed me with a meaningful grin.
生稲さんって永遠に興味あったんじゃないかしら。診察を受けに来た時も永遠のことをずっと見てたし。
You don't say. Apparently Ray was paying attention.
あいつはフレーズだよ。
フレーズ？何それ？
ルーストのブログに載ってただろ。傷の画像。
ああ、うん。あのリスカ画像みたいな。
あの画像の作者だ。
え？嘘？
He yelped in surprise and hastily lowered his voice.
ちょっと、なんで知ってるのよ。
ルーストにあいつが来た時、店長に紹介されたんだよ。
そうだったの？もっと早く教えなさいよ。
He hissed quietly, then paused.
あれ？それじゃあ、生稲さんはもともとルーストを知ってたってこと？
多分な。ユーフォリアの絵が好きらしい。
え、そうなの？それならやっぱり生稲さん、永遠のことを気に入ってたんじゃない。
And now you see why I don't want to go over there. Ray pointed at me with a playful smirk.
なおさら、永遠が花屋に行った方がいいわよ。
どうだろうな。
どうして？永遠もあの傷の画像気になってたんでしょ？
うちに匿名で花を送ってたのは生稲だ。
え？
He blinked at me wide-eyed.
そうなの？
多分な。
If you think so, no, you know so, bro. Come on now.
もし本当に生稲さんが送ってたんだとしたら、急に配達しなくなったのはどうして
Because
か
I
しら？
told him to, that's why.
花はいらないって言ったからな。
No way. I got the exact wording too. That's crazy.
え？いつ？
Oh, last week?
この間、あいつが来た時に。
いらないって。送ってたのが生稲さんかどうかまだはっきり分かってないのに？
ほぼ間違いなく。
Right, 99% sure though. Like, very
でも
sure.
確定はしてないわけでしょ？なのにそんなこと言っちゃったの？
Because I don't like it.
実際来なくなっただろ。
He looked at me in disbelief, then his expression contorted in anger.
とは、それ謝ってきた方がいいわ。
No.
謝る？
What?
生稲さんって永遠の絵が好きなんでしょ？なのにそんな突き放すような言い方されたら、花を送ってなくたってショックを受けるわよ。永遠がどんな風に言ったのか、だいたい想像できるもの。
Right, how did I say it?
それに、もし本当に生稲さんが花を送ってたんだとしたら、なおさら悪いわ。 匿名はびっくりしたけど、別に悪いことじゃないし。前から言ってるけど、トアは他人に興味がなさすぎるの。だからそうやって軽率に人を傷つけちゃうのよ。
でもあいつは
I stopped short. Oh my goodness. Ah, so many crumbs. I was going to give Ray more details about Ikuina, but on second thought, I didn't need to.
あいつは何？
いや、
とにかくちゃんと謝ってきて。連絡先とか知らないの？
知ってる。
じゃあすぐにでも連絡取れるじゃない。直接会って謝るのよ。じゃないとルースと出禁にしちゃうからね。
I'll just find another bar. Now that was something I could not abide. And knowing Ray, he might really do it. I didn't understand why it pissed him off, but then again, he always took issue with my behavior. Since recent developments with Ikuina were already on my mind, I simply told myself this was the perfect opportunity. Oh my goodness, this is so greasy. I can taste the oil. Oh god. I headed back to my apartment, where I called him on my cell. But it just rang and rang, so instead, I got dressed and headed out. Under the clear blue sky, I ambled down the sidewalk in the direction of the flower shop. Eventually I found it, a wooden building with big glass panels. I peered in through the window, no sign of Ikuina. As I pulled the door open and stepped inside, a female clerk ran over to me.
いらっしゃいませ。何かお探しですか？
イクイナさんは？
イクイナくんはお休みです。しばらく休むと連絡がありました。
そうですか。どうも。
And with that, I walked out. Oh man. I can't wait for him to go back to Ray and be like, Ray's like, so what happened? Be like, he's not there. He won't be in for a while. Be like, did you call him? Yeah. He didn't answer. Be like, well, I did what you said. It's no longer my problem. If he was skipping work, then he was probably cooped up in his house, working on his art. I pulled my phone from my coat pocket and sent him a text asking to talk. Now all I could do was wait. Did you solve the issue? No, he's hiding away from the world. I'll go find where he lives. I fail to see why this is continuing to be my problem. I did my part. So I headed downtown to wander around and drink some booze. During the day, the downtown area looked dull and drab. The sunlight illuminated all the dirt and stains normally concealed in the darkness of night. As I walked down the washed-out street, I spotted something wriggling in the corner of my eye. Wriggling. And there were two figures wrestling in a dark alley. Were they that unbearably See, now I have the image in my head and it won't leave. Oh god. Were they that unbearably horny right here in the middle of the day? I was just going to pass by, but then I heard a groan and stopped short. It was a male voice, and it sounded like he was in pain, not the throes of pleasure. Curious, I turned in the direction of the alley. One man was lying on the ground, while the other man ooh. I'm sorry. I know. It's not that, but I mean, hey, men don't often straddle each other like that. Let me stop. The man on top had both hands raised over his head, holding something that glinted in the sunlight. A knife, maybe. I'm sorry. Give me 1 second. Why does he have no sense of self-preservation? Like, Doa, please. Just a little bit. Like, a little, please. I wasn't scared. I walked over to them. The man with the knife leapt to his feet. Then he took off down the alley like a bat out of hell. I could smell something in the air. His residual scent, perhaps. As his footsteps retreated into the distance, the man on the ground let out a whimper. On closer inspection, I could see a medicine vial on the ground beside him, along with a strangely shaped knife. Its blade was curved outwards. I crouched down and examined the victim. He was still moaning and twitching, and dosed with something, probably. The man who fled must have drugged him in order to try and stab him. Injured while lying on the street unconscious. The same thing nearly happened to this guy. I picked up the vial and the knife. The knife was a foldable one, so I tucked the blade away and put it and the vial in my pocket. Over time, the victim would sober up and go back to his regular life. The attacker wasn't really trying to kill him. I knew this. How? Because I recognized the smell in the air. And I knew what it was. Zach! Oh, good. I turned back and headed out onto the main street. I mean, you never know. It could have been that scent. You never know. Eventually, I arrived at the high-rise condo building I had woken up in once before. The room number was 1403. So hey, I see you like attacking people, eh? It's my kind of thing. I passed through the lobby, then rode an elevator up to the 14th floor. Lee, you have to be careful when you start going through the wires, man. Wires and cords. Then I walked down the hall until I reached the door with 1403 on the number plate. I leaned in close to listen for any movement. No dice. But that didn't necessarily guarantee that no one was home. True, because usually whenever I hear somebody knock on our door that I'm positively sure I do not ever recall inviting over, I just stay as quiet as a mouse. I'm telling you, you never know who's out there. I grabbed the knob and slowly twisted it. Naturally, it was locked. I crouched down on the spot and pulled my lockpick. Well, okay. Okay. That's the thing he does. Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry that I keep pausing. The cats keep going in and out of the room. 1 second. Hopefully this time they'll finally just sit down to nap. Alright, I crouched down on the spot and pulled my lockpick wire out of my coat pocket. Because yes, that's something everybody should have apparently. I lightly bent the tip, then inserted it into the keyhole. I learned how to pick locks when I was in the Takasato Gumi. Not surprised. They taught it to us so we'd be able to break into debtors' houses if they refused to answer the door. But in most cases, people would just bust the doors anyway, so it wasn't especially useful. Following my instincts, I worked the lockpick, and when I felt it give, I pulled the wire out. Then I stood up and tested the knob again. Ooh, they're wilted. They used to be so vibrant. The door opened. I walked in and swiftly bolted it shut behind me. Like last time, the hall was overflowing with plants. I stepped into the house without taking my shoes off. Damn, it's the rudest thing you can do. And then I followed the hall to the room at the end and opened the door. Oh, jeez. There, I found the living room I remembered from last time. Like before, the walls were lined with potted plants, and there was the bed I had once woken up in. Not to mention the distinct, unique smell that filled the room. It was all exactly as I remembered it, with one significant difference. The plants had all died, including the ones in the hall. The floor was littered with petals, pruning shears, a knife, and other gardening supplies, almost like they were abandoned in the middle of a project. I pulled out the knife I'd retrieved from the alley and flicked it open. Then I compared it to the knife on the floor. Perfect match. Except the knife on the floor had dark red stains on its blade. What were the chances I'd find another one of these strangely shaped knives entirely by coincidence? I refolded the knife in my hand and put it back in my pocket. On the floor by the first aid kit, I could see dark droplets of liquid. They were dried, sticky, and faintly red. Blood, probably. I looked over at the bed and noticed something long, thin, and white mixed in with the messy sheets. As I approached, I realized it was an unraveled bandage. It reminded me of the time I woke up here. Then I looked over at the table. There was some sort of lump sitting there. At first, I thought it was a chunk of rotten meat, but it wasn't. It was something I'd recognized, though it was crushed and discolored. I walked over to the table and examined the lump. It looked a lot like the wound photo posted on Bruce's blog. Grace had created it by making a flower look like a gash. Which would mean this condo could only belong to one person. And the lingering scent of the man who fled matched this room perfectly. Slowly, my lips curled into a smile. After the sunset, I headed straight to roost. When I walked in, Ray spotted me and walked over.
とはどうだった？生稲さんと連絡取れた？
店に行ったらしばらく休むって連絡があったらしい。電話もしたけど出ない。メッセージは送った。
He frowned at me, concerned.
そう。生稲さん、とわの一言がそんなにショックだったのかしら。
I shrugged wordlessly. Then I walked over to the counter and sat down. Followed after me and let out a sigh.
まあ、あとはもう待つしかないわね。あまりしつこくするのも良くないでしょうし。
Just then, I heard the door open and someone walked in.
いらっしゃいま。え、嘘。
Ray looked over at the door and immediately clapped a hand to his mouth. Naturally, I turned and looked. Standing there with an awkward smile on his face was Ikuina.
こんばんは。
生稲さん、ちょっと大丈夫？
Ray hurried over to him. He blinked in mild puzzlement.
何がですか？
あ、ほら、とわが失礼なこと言っちゃったんでしょ？それで気を悪くしたんじゃないかと思って。
If anything, it made me feel alive.
ああ、
He pursed his lips and shook his head slightly.
大丈夫です。
本当に？
はい。
でも、なんだかすごく疲れてるっていうか、顔色が悪いみたいだけど。
あ、これはちょっと寝不足で、本当に大丈夫です。
そう。だったらよかった。それじゃ、こちらへどうぞ。
Ray led Ikuina to the counter. I could sense him looking at me, but I made a point of ignoring him. He sat down beside me, smiling faintly.
とわさん、メッセージ見ました。ありがとうございます。
ああ、
I glanced at him out of the corner of my eye. Ray was right. The guy looked kinda odd. His eyes were sharper than before.
ご注文は？
アブさんを。
とわは？
お任せで。
はーい。店長！
The manager nodded and started making our drinks. I lit a cigarette, took a drag, and exhaled softly. Meanwhile, Ikuina stared down at the counter. I could faintly smell that peculiar meadowy scent. I looked over at the manager and found him pouring the absinthe.
でも、生稲さんが顔を見せてくれて本当に良かったわ。とわも反省してすっごく心配してたのよ。
Now why are you lying like that, boy?
そうなんですか。
Ikuina looked at Rory in surprise and shifted his gaze to me.
おい、
I glared at Ray, who stuck his tongue out at me.
どうぞ。
ありがとうございます。
Ikuina took his glass.
生稲さん、とわに不満とか言いたいこと全部ぶつけちゃっていいわよ。どうぞごゆっくり。
With a joke and a wink, Ray grabbed a dishcloth and a tray and walked off. Ooh, what is that? I sipped my drink in silence. If anybody knows what this drink is, do let me know. Not that I drink, but it's fun learning about all the different drinks out there.
ウイスキーベースのオリジナルカクテルだよ。
Oh, never mind. Answered it for me. Oh gosh. The manager called out to me to get my feedback.
うまい。
よかった。
I could tell the drink was tailored to my preferences. As for Ikuina, he took tiny sips of his absinthe. We sat there in silence, like perfect strangers. The air between us was tense. Then I sensed his gaze, and when I glanced over at him, our eyes met. He was looking at me with determination.
父さん、
What do you want? What do you want? What do you want from me? His tone was one of steadfast conviction.
俺をモデルにしてもらうことはやっぱりできませんか？
I looked away without saying anything.
父さんに見てもらいたいものがあるんです。
He grabbed the rucksack at his feet, pulled out a folder the size of a memo pad, and set it on the counter. Cigarette between my lips, I picked up the folder and opened it to find a stack of photographs the size of postcards. There were about 30 of them, and they all featured flowers made to look like wounds. As I flipped through, its art style began to evolve dramatically. It made the one posted to Ruth's blog look tame by comparison. These new ones featured tacky, oversaturated colors and scattered petals. At this point, I couldn't really tell he was trying to imitate flesh wounds. Subjective opinions of his style of evolution aside, his new work was brimming with unnaturally raw passion.
どうですか？
Ikuina spoke hesitantly as he attempted to gauge my reaction.
悪くない。
It was my honest opinion. After all, it was hard to find an artist who could imbue their work with this much heat. It was reminiscent of an artist in his declining years. At my response, a relieved smile crept up on Ikuina's face.
ありがとうございます。でも俺ちょっと花から離れようと思ってて。
And what are you gonna move to?
やめるのか。
はい。ちょっといろいろ抑えきれなくて、店に立つのも難しくなってしまって。
He rolled up his sleeves. Both arms were covered in bandages from wrist to elbow. Red stains seeped through here and there.
気がついたら花じゃなくて腕を。花じゃ物足りなくなってしまって、どうしても我慢できなくて。
Bro done gone crazy for real.
物足りなくなった。
本当に作りたいものは花の作品じゃないんです。でもそれを実行するのはとても難しくて、いや多分やってはいけないことで、それは分かってるんだけど、でも
He mumbled to himself under his breath. I put my cigarette out in the ashtray. It was time. Luina's cattle sis. Yeah, cattle sis had gone exactly to plan.
気が変わった。
え？
あんたを描く気になった。
Exhaling cigarette smoke, I smiled at him faintly. He looked at me in shock. His lip quivered.
本当に？
ああ。
Out of nowhere, Ikuina grabbed his glass and downed his absinthe in a single swallow. Whoa!
ちょっと大丈夫？
Ray came rushing over like he was supervising us from a distance.
大丈夫です。すみません。
Wiping his mouth with the back of his hand, he bowed to Ray. Then he looked at me with feverish eyes.
嬉しいです。本当にありがとうございます。どうして気が変わったんですか？
I fixed him with a meaningful look.
もし俺が酔いつぶれたら、お前が介抱してくれるんだろ？
Instantly, the color drained from his face. His expression was stiff with a blend of hope and despair.
その前に酔いつぶれないように気をつけなきゃって。生稲さん？
Ikuina jumped to his feet, whipped some money out of his wallet, and slapped it down on the counter. Then he grabbed his rucksack and headed for the door.
やだ、どうしたのかしら。まだ具合が悪かったとか？
Ray murmured, in concern as he watched Ikuina disappear outside. I let out a dry laugh and raised my glass to my lips. Hell yeah. I left Bruce and ambled down the bustling. This word is hard for me. Oh. I sound like a fucking cat meowing. Ow! Oh god. But I still had some time left. Maybe I should go see him before I go home. Oh, directed exploration. Okay. Let's see. I mean, might as well, since we're here. Oh, so directed means we can't just go anywhere. I mean, makes sense, I suppose. They don't want more paperwork to deal with. You know what? As much as I hate that, I understand. I mean, what else do you want me to do? There's only like... There's only no other place to go. What do you mean? Do you want to end exploration? Thing got me rolling, for real.
Oh, Toa.
よ
うん。
It is still technically exploration, so not reading is way too much. But I am kind of curious. Now that Ikuina knows that he's the one attacking people, what's he gonna do? Is he gonna try to silence? I wonder.
ああ
それで
He's like, oh, so you did find him. Okay, listen. All I said was that I didn't find him at the flower shop. Okay? Ray got a big mouth for real.
別に
Me in a good mood? You gotta be seeing things, man.
本当か
No, what if I don't want to dial it back? What if I want to keep being in a good mood? Why do you want me to stay in a bad mood? Let me stop. That night, I was lying on the sofa, wasting time like always. Listening to the TV's drone, I navigated to Roost's blog on my phone. As I scrolled through the new articles, a name caught my eye. Oh, it's such a cute strawberry. The posted artwork was unlike anything that had come before. Instead of modifying a flower to look like a wound, he had placed a single strawberry on top of it. Nothing more. For a moment, I questioned whether this was really a phrase piece. Then I recognized what it had in common with the rest. There was a half-inch incision on the surface of the berry, spread apart to reveal a sliver of the flesh inside. In my view, this was a more direct message than any of the others had been. Why had he chosen to use fruit instead of flowers? Strawberry flowers. The little white ones. Did strawberries have meaning in flower language too? Time to Google. On a whim, I looked it up. Fruitfulness and fertility. Nice. Grace knew I visited this blog, so maybe this was a message directed at me. A message from Ikuina, the artist phrase, the flower sender. It was just past 3 a.m. I grabbed a bottle of booze off the floor, brought it to my lips, and took a swig. I loudly chugged the lukewarm fluid, then lowered the bottle. I needed to get as drunk as possible. Never heard of a date going like this. I'd already pre-gamed at Roost earlier, but by the time I pulled my coat on and left the room, I was unsteady on my feet. I had no guarantee that it would happen tonight, nor any proof. Something in my gut told me it would. That was why, back at Roost.
もし俺が酔いつぶれたら、お前が介抱してくれるんだろ?
I'd intentionally made that comment. As far as I could tell, Ikuina was reaching his limit. If flowers could no longer sate his hunger, then he would surely prowl the streets, looking for prey passed out in the gutter. Pressing a hand against the wall for support, I passed through the waiting room and out of the building. I was pretty sure I knew how to lure Freys out of hiding. I smirked to myself like a hunter setting a snare. Ah yes, more direct exploration. And this isn't the right spot. So wait, what happens if I go to like the wrong place though? Like, I kind of want to know what happens if I go to the wrong place. Maybe I can find out later. At another point in time. Because if you kind of look here at like, here, it's a little bit blue. I feel like there might be something there. As I staggered along the building walls down the street, someone tapped my shoulder from behind.
父さん、平気っすか？ あー。あ
Okay. So it's just a yap with somebody. That's fine. Still dark. I staggered drunkenly into an empty alley. Without a moment of hesitation, I laid myself down on the filthy ground. If memory served, this was right around where I had passed out last time. With the chill of the concrete at my back, I gazed up at the inky sky and closed my eye. With my vision obscured, my other senses sharpened. Smell. I could smell something decaying. The reek of sewer, the humid air. Hearing. I could hear the bustle of the city in the distance, the wail of the ambulance sirens, the clink of cans as someone dug through a garbage bin. I started to disassociate until I was just a series of stimuli floating there, unattached to my physical form. Oddly enough, it was peaceful. And then, as my drunken brain struggled to function, I heard the sound of footsteps. I could feel the vibrations to the ground. Judging from the speed at which they were moving, someone was walking very carefully. The footsteps approached, then stopped short beside me. I caught a whiff of a familiar scent, like absinthe, slightly different. But I couldn't open my eye. After all, I was passed out drunk. I crouched down and opened the front of my coat. Ooh. But then they quietly pushed up my shirt. He quietly pushed my shirt up, and I felt a faint sting of pain in my midsection. Silence followed after that. I could feel them there, right next to me. After a long pause, they moved once more. This time, something touched my cheek. Fingers grasped my chin, trying to force my mouth. Since I was playing possum, I couldn't fight it. The mouth opened, and a small amount of liquid trickled inside. Swallow? They grabbed my arm, put it around their shoulders, and attempted to haul me up. While they were distracted with that, I turned my head and spat out the liquid. I was smart. They put an arm around my waist and started walking slowly, as if they were just escorting me home. And since I was pretending to be unconscious, I let them drag me along. Suddenly, I was flung down onto a soft surface. On the way here, I had opened my eye faintly to confirm what I already knew. This was the same condo from last time. I love how he gets like the premium treatment. Like, what? I ain't gonna leave you out there in the street. I'm gonna take you home, make sure you're comfortable before I start cutting into you. Wow. I could hear someone breathing heavily over me. Something cold touched my cheek. Surely he knew, right? The room smelled strongly of that almost absent scent. It had to be his natural odor. Quietly, I opened my eye.
トワさん、
There in the dimly lit room, I locked eyes with Ikuina. I was lying on a bed, and he had crawled up on top of me, pressing a knife to my cheek.
本当はずっと起きてたんでしょ
What? No, I just woke up right now.
お前だって分かってて連れてきたんだろ。
I spoke matter-of-factly, like I hadn't even noticed the knife.
やりたきゃやれよ。もう耐えられないんじゃないのか。
Trembling, Ikuina bit his lip and lowered the knife, pressed to my cheek.
全部お見通しってことですか。
分かりやすいからな、お前。俺が書くのは人が心の奥に秘めてる願望だ。
His eyes shimmered in trepidation. Quietly, I looked back at him. I gazed deeply into his eyes, trying to read every tiny shift in emotion. If I could get him locked onto me, I could take control. Right now, he was looking at me like he was entranced. This was no superpower. It was just a skill I picked up from my mother. The art of conversation and negotiation. Heyo. I had next to no memory of my past, but I vaguely remember her repeatedly teaching me how to talk to people. She described it as a way to get close to someone without misreading their intentions. According to her, the human heart was fragile. She is so right. She is so right about that. I was probably only this good at it because I had inherited this talent from my mother. As far as I knew, she was adored by everyone around her. Though she probably never imagined I would use those same skills for something like this.
ただの願望じゃない。絶対に叶えてはいけないような歪み切ってねじ曲がった願望だけを俺は書く。お前もあるんだろうな。花なんかじゃ満たされない何かが。吐き出せ。そうしたら書いてやる。
Ikuina slumped his shoulders weakly. The knife in his hand fell to the bed.
さあ、話せ。
俺は
Is this gonna be my first interrogation? Okay, so they said the hint doesn't necessarily mean... wait, I wrote it down. Hold on. This is the memo pad that I wrote down. But basically... Oh, I thought I'm being timed. I was like, no! Basically, the hint that they give you does not necessarily mean it's the right choice. It's just a hint. You're right. So calm him down. Do we want to do that? Well, it doesn't look like the glass is black. Yeah, it doesn't look like the glass is black, so I guess we have to get him to Euphoria. Still, I'm a little bit curious though. What happens if we take him to Med? Will he kill us?
いえ
Alright, and since this is like an actual one, we're not gonna get any hints about what it does. This looks like a white glass to you guys, right? Or am I blind? What is this line? Okay, can I like I wanna look at the dang it. I wanna look at the tutorial again. Hold on. Cause I don't wanna fuck this up. Where's the title? Yes, please. I'm sorry guys, I'm like interrupting this. I just wanna exit. Let's quick save. Okay, maybe I'll just start from here. So where did they say I could look at the help again? I don't remember. This is that. Maybe it was this one? Let's wait. To the clouds. I see. I'm trying so desperately to figure out where, like, the helper is. Okay, guys, please don't get mad at me. I'm just gonna look it up real quick. Oh my god, because I could have swore they, like... Like, I could have swore they told. Like, there's a place you can go for yeah. Hold on. Let me actually get back to where I'm supposed to be. Hold on. There I am. So obviously, if I'm trying to like reach Euphoria, I'm supposed to get to this line up here. But I have no idea what this is. Wait, is it purple up there? No. Okay, so when madness goes up, the scratches in the back open. So basically the wound, as they called it. Right now, his madness is pretty tame. Okay, but this isn't exactly what I'm looking for. Yes, please. Oh my goodness. Wait, there's a best order playroom? Oh my god, no. No, don't do this to me. Okay. Okay. I see. So madness is measured by the blue line here, and if we go over it, that's when the hourglass cracks. Okay. See, I told you guys. I'm gonna come back to this, and I'm gonna forget everything. Oh, so this white line, is that the passing threshold? I believe that might be. Okay. Oh, so that's what black looks like. So black, that means like all the white, like literally everything is just dark. Okay. So Euphoria is our target. Okay. Alright, now we really gotta think, guys. Because we don't have the help now where it says Euphoria up or down. He looks anxious. Provoking him will make him even more anxious. Showing affection might still make him anxious, but a different kind. Dang, this is... oh. Because I do want to reach the target, you know. That's the thing, I'm not entirely sure. Do we want him to, like, do it? Like, I mean, maybe if we, like, show him affection, we're like, hey, you know, it's okay. You can do what you want. Alright, I'm just gonna have to go for it.
Positive. なるほど。
I mean, yeah, that does make sense.
はい。
Yes! And the wound's opening. No! Oh, so this is what it's for. We got you into this? Honestly, I kind of want to know, but I'm afraid this might make his euphoria go down. You're struggling with something? I mean, I know we don't have to say anything. We could, like, literally play it safe, but... I don't know, I kind of just... Man, my curiosity is gonna get me. Oh.
Yoshi. 呆れるな。
Okay. Oh, no. I mean, closed.
それは
Okay. I knew I shouldn't have done it. But we'll just play along.
ポジティブに。そうか。
Oh. His smoke seems pretty stable in both color and movement.
そうだな。
But yeah, I'm not gonna read it because I gotta save my voice for later.
それは
Yeah, well. Alright. Right now we're doing good. I don't want to mess that up. He's freaking out. I think provoking him will just make it worse, no?
ポジティブ。確かに。
はい。
What? Look at that line go. I could say I feel you. Or I could just sit there and say nothing. Why not? Because I mean, we got them, so we might as well use them, right?
あ
あ
Did I do it?
傷跡
Oh no. Scarf. Oh no. They said present the wrong one and it's died now. What did he use for his art? I mean, flowers, right? Wait, oh god. Because, like, flowers is right, because he did use flowers up until a certain point. Oh man, I just don't want to be wrong. Oh jeez.
花
Ooh, ooh, that hurts. Ooh.
花が好き本当に花が好きなのか
それは
Well,
本当は
yeah. Okay. Expose his secret. Okay.
まだだまだ足りない
待ってください。あ
Oh? What does that mean? What does that mean?
気になるか
はい。
Okay. Cut to the chase. I guess teasing him would not cut to the chase. I mean, as fun as it would be,
ポ
but
ジティブにへえ
oh no, no. If it's you, I don't mind. Ooh. Fluster him more. Okay, you know what? I think this one might actually be good. If we want to fluster him. Like, oh, if it's you, oh, it's okay.
ああいいぜ
There we go.
お
Back
前
in
ら
business. We could try baiting. Just saying it flat out, he might be like, ah.
ネガティブ
I don't know what that sound was that I made. Please ignore that.
とわさん。
Yeah, okay, there we go. Ooh, yeah, don't hold back.
それでいい
Dang it. His smoke is lighter and softer now. Ooh. We could do implications. Like, do you prefer cutting or receiving? Said cutting. I don't. How do you make implications about that? Like, do you like slicing bread or like literally? How do you? You'll figure it out, I guess.
Negative.
Oh no.
言えよ。ポジティブ。
Let's tell him what he wants to hear,
助けて
maybe.
やる。
You say it like that. Oh my god. Like, I know I don't have to use them, but I mean, they do help at times. I feel like if I say this, he'll be like, and go back to whimper mode. Maybe I shouldn't.
傷を。
A symbol of his desire. I mean, surely, right? Not wrong, right? Truly, right? If I'm wrong, I'm good.
傷。
Ugh. Man, this never gets any better. Ugh.
本当に興味があるのは傷だよな。
はい。
ああ、全部わかった。切り裂きたい。それがお前の望みなんだな。
あ、そうです。その通りです。
There's another go round? Oh. Okay. Ah! Sorry. I just didn't expect it. I really did not expect it.
俺が本当に欲しいものは花なんかじゃない。ただ花で代用していただけなんだ。俺は本当は人の肌につけられた傷が見たい。正確には傷の中身が。
That is crazy. So you want to see?
でもそんなことはできないから。自分の腕を傷つけても見たけど、やっぱり物足りなくて。
He squinted his eyes as if enduring invisible pain. Then he smiled faintly.
花は人みたいに抵抗しないのに、傷つければ体液を流してくれる。
That's a crazy sentence. Flowers don't resist like people do.
それがなんだか俺を受け入れてくれてるように感じて慰められた。花さえあればなんとかなる。そう思ってたのに、だんだん物足りなくなってきて。それに花を何度も潰してるうちに、なんだかかわいそうにもなってきて。
His hesitant gaze locked onto me.
不思議と人に対してはそう思わないんです。かわいそうって。でも人はすごく抵抗するから、なかなかいいようにできなくて。
No, that's crazy. How do you feel guilty about hurting flowers but not people? What? Whoa. Whoa.
ずっとどうすればいいのかを考えてて思いついたんです。切ってから手当てをする方法を。
That is crazy.
それなら怪我をさせてもまだ許されるんじゃないかと思って。
I don't think they would.
それにこの町にはデスマッチがあるから怪我人が道端に転がっていてもそれほど気にしないでしょう。
You know what? Fair enough.
今度は周りの目が厳しくてとてもじゃないけどできません。だから俺はこの町に来たんです。治安が悪いって言ったらそれまでだけど新興味は本土よりも俺と似たような人が多いんじゃないかって思ったから。
He really came here from the mainland just so he can live out his twisted ass fantasy. I mean, hey. Silver lining, he at least wasn't trying on people in the mainland. I guess. I mean, what he's doing is still wrong, but hey. Ikuina paused there to let out a breath, his brow tightly knitted.
人を傷つけるのは最小限にとどめて、あとは花で代用して、そうやって自分を騙しながらやってきたけど、もう物足りなくて苦しくて、誰かを切れば切るほどどんどん欲求が膨れ上がって、そんな時に偶然トワさんが倒れているのを見つけて、切りつけてから手当てをしている時に見たんです。体中に残る傷跡を。全身が震えるほどのショックを受けて、その時に自分の欲望をはっきりと自覚しました。ああ、俺本当は心ゆくまで誰かを切ってみたいんだって。切ってその中身が見たいって。
俺をこの部屋に連れ込んだのもそのせいか。
Grimacing, he nodded.
はい。ただあの時は切る目的じゃなくて、トワさんの傷跡をもっと見たいと思ったんです。
I'm sorry, he said, I just want to cut somebody to shreds. Yeah, you don't gotta lock this man up.
トワさんの傷、特に胸の真ん中にある大きな傷が。
Distracted by the memory, he swallowed.
胸の傷が本当にすごくて、どうやったらこんな風になるんだろうって思って、トワさんを解放した後、興奮が収まらなくて眠れなくて、すぐにトワさんが倒れていたあたりへ戻って聞き込みをしたんです。体中が傷だらけの人を知らないかって。あの時はトワさんの名前も知らなかったけど、ある人と知り合って、その人からトワさんのことを教えてもらってルーソンにも行ったんです。
ある人。
それはすみません、言えません。
Guiltily, he averted his eyes.
匿名の花の配達もわざとか。
はい、トワさんに近づくために。でもどうして俺だって分かったんですか？
花言葉だ。気持ちを込めすぎたな。
ああ正直気づいてほしいという気持ちもあったので。
He laughed bashfully.
それにお前が配達した花からアブさんの匂いがした。
アブさん？ヨモギか。
この部屋の匂い、そうだろ。
そうです。ヨモギは昔ばあちゃんが家で育てていて、なんとなく好きなんです。匂いを嗅ぐと落ち着くんですよね。だから香り袋を作って部屋のあちこちに置いてるんです。もちろん育ててもいますし。
Okay.
でも匂いってそんなに移るものなんですね。自分では全然気がつかなかったです。 うかつだったな。
And yet, for some reason, he was smiling.
俺、トワさんなら俺の気持ちを分かってくれるんじゃないかってずっと思ってました。人の傷の中身が見たいっていう妄想だけが膨らんでいって、今はもう自分でもどうすればいいのかわからないんです。
You just have to huckle him back up like, hey, I may return to you in a few pieces. You mind stitching me back together?
昔からそうだったのか。
いえ、ただ子供の頃にすごくショックを受けたことがあって、多分それからだと思います。
Yeah, it's usually trauma that starts up stuff. To this extent, maybe. But, yeah.
ショック。
はっきりとは覚えてないんですけど、子供の頃誰かをナイフで傷つけたんです。何度も何度も。
The fuck?
すごく怖くて逃げ出したくて、でも傷から真っ赤な血が溢れるところはよく覚えていて、
Bro.
それが影響してるんじゃないかとは思います。
Not in the good way. Oh my god. Oh. Once he was finished, Ikuina took a deep breath and closed his eyes. He was clearly trying to get his emotions under control. His flushed cheeks and pursed lips betrayed the shame he felt. Meanwhile, I shot a quick glance around the room. The floor and table were both littered with flower petals, as was the bed, as if for a decorative effect.
やれよ。
You heard him. At this, his eyes widened in surprise.
お前の願望は分かった。好きにしていい。
トワさん。
He stared at me in disbelief. I rolled up one of my sleeves, revealing the scarred flesh of my arm, and offered it to him. Hands shaking, he slowly picked up his knife and pointed the tip at me.
本当にいいんですか？
Hesitantly, he stopped the knife just before it touched my skin. My only response was a faint smile. His expression stiffened, and he stared down at my bare flesh. Then, summoning his resolve, pressed the blade to my skin. Oh jeez. I think I might block all of this off. So, probably at this point there's something up on the screen for it. Slowly, the line turned scarlet as beads of blood rose to the surface. Mixed in with his heavy breathing, I could hear what sounded like a Oh no, he gets off to this. Oh dear, that's even worse. As the cut stung, I donned a provocative sneer. Oh jeez.
まだここからだろう。ほら。
I mean, okay. Well. I thrust my arm at him, goading him on further. But the first cut must have flipped a switch in him, because this time he sank the knife into me without hesitation. Deeper, too. The sharp pain made me grunt. Unlike sex or violence, the pain of pierced flesh was especially vivid. It had been a while since I last felt it. As the thrill set in, I licked my lips. Now there were two fresh cuts side by side. The blood from the second overtook that of the first. A coppery smell filled the room. The knife fell to the bed, leaving a big red stain on the white sheets. Now it looked as though the petals were floating atop a sea of blood.
トワさん、トワさん。
He called out to me desperately. As the aching pain rushed to my head, I spread the cut wider with my finger. Ooh, ooh. Just imagining it does not feel great. There was so much blood, it almost looked fake. A sliver of pale pink flesh was visible deep inside. Ikuina saw it and swallowed hard. He wants. Listen, without the context, it sounds very different. It sounds very different without the context. He gazed at the cut like it was a long-lost lover. This was what he had been yearning for. Gently, he took my bloody arm, spread the cut, and gazed inside hungrily. Meanwhile, I picked the knife up off the bed and slashed the back of his hand with no warning. Hey, right, I'm not the only one getting cut here, bro. If I'm getting cut, so are you. Startled, he pulled back his hand away and looked at me. With a daring grin, I licked the blood from the blade.
俺にもやらせろよ。お前の中身、見せろ。
父さん。
This seemed to open the floodgates, so to speak.
待って。胸の傷、見せてください。
No, not the shirt. Dang. He took the knife from me and used it to cut my shirt in half. In so doing? Okay. He revealed the scar that ran straight down the center of my chest. He froze, paralyzed. I drew my bleeding arm to my chest and rubbed it back and forth, right in front of him. In a blink, a fresh coat of crimson paint was applied to my raised scars. We were both breathing hard, and I could see Ikuina's bulge through his pants. Right now, I wasn't looking for the rote pleasure of boring old regular sex. I wanted us to penetrate each other with the knife instead. Yeah. Neither of us said a word, but we both knew. Ikuina grasped the knife and pressed the tip just below my clavicle. Oh! Yeah, I definitely have to block all this off. Then, in a single swift motion, he dragged it down toward my navel. He's getting off this? The pain of this cut was far more intense than the last. It shot through the center of my body, making me gasp for breath. Now a new cut was bleeding parallel to my chest scar. Breathing heavily, Ikuina tossed the knife away and ran both hands over my chest. Ooh, okay, I gotta get rid of the sound effects. Oh, it sounds so awful. Yeah. He pressed his thumb to the fresh incision and slowly spread it apart. I grimaced and groaned. It was agony. It felt like he was literally ripping me apart. And I loved it. My brain converted the bone-rattling pain into pleasure. In that sense, it was actually soothing. What is going on? The more it directly injured my physical body, the better. And the more passionate, the better. I wanted more. I wanted the pain to dominate me. Oh god, not the sound effects again. Ikuina spread my chest wound and let out a gasp that was both sensual and wistful. The cut wasn't deep enough to see my organs, but it was still flesh normally hidden from sight. Now that he was faced with the Kind of mood he always dreamed of. Ikulina trembled. Wet with blood, the living flesh wriggled and breathed.
父さん
Not exactly what I
綺麗だ
expected to read today, but here we are. His voice was an entranced murmur. As I gasped, I laughed and plucked the knife from his hand. Flustered, he stripped his clothes off and leaned in close to me. So close, our noses almost touched. Our lips almost touched. Oof. Ugh, okay. Then I pressed the knife to his chest and dragged it down. Iquina let out a small yelp and gritted his teeth. A single cut had formed on his otherwise flawless chest, crying in tears of blood onto me. I sat up slightly and ran my tongue along the incision. I started from the bottom and worked my way up. The taste of metal filled my mouth. With his brows knitted tightly, he looked at me and smiled, still dripping fluid onto me. There, on his face, the pain and pleasure had jumbled together to create true joy.
父さんとお揃いですね同じような後に
さあな。
At this, his smile deepened. Slowly, he climbed further on top of me. We were now connected by our chest cuts. Okay. The old beneath me now. This was what we wanted. Our blood mixed between our bodies, wet and warm. The intermittent pain was proof that we were still alive. Every time he moved, our cuts caught on each other, spreading each other open. I could feel his soft flesh. The blood kept pouring, enveloping our bodies in damp warmth.
父さん
Ikuina took the knife and pressed it against my arm. As it moved, a new cut was born beneath it, red fluid trailing just behind. Next, I took the knife and cut him right back. As our chest cuts joined together, we continued to carve into each other's bodies, sharing the endless pain.
父さん父さん
As my consciousness grew fuzzy from the pain and blood loss, I started to laugh. Every breath I took was wet with blood. As my fingers clutched at the sheets, I brushed something. Scattered petals. I grabbed a handful and sprinkled them over Ikuina's back. As they fluttered down, a few slipped in between us and landed in the blood, which quickly stained them red. The petals were already red, though. Almost like little chunks of meat had been torn off of us. Laughing, I grabbed even more petals and scattered them over his back, over and over. All the blood and petals and cuts, we must have looked insane. And in fact, we were. I accepted that insanity and returned it with full force. My output was a work of art. I mixed other people's madness with my own, blended it, kneaded it, painted it. In that sense, my art was always a group project, made with other people's vomit and excreta. I never knew people's insides could be so beautiful. I always yearned to see it. And you were the one to show it to me, Toa-san. It means the world to me. Thank you so much.
タクか。
Can you come pick me up? I'm bleeding all over the place.
終わった。迎えに来てくれ。場所は。
After Ikuina's euphoric episode, I scraped together the last dregs of my conscious mind. And then, with shaking fingers, I placed a call on my cell phone. Luckily, Taku picked up, and 20 or 30 minutes later, he and Ray came running into Ikuina's condo. I went back home to the clinic, but Ikuina was taken to a different facility, the Takanokuchi medical office. Apparently, Taku made the call after he saw that my injuries were a lot worse than he was expecting. After cutting each other to shreds, Ikuina and I had lost a lot of blood, and if I had waited any longer to make the call, he said I might have died. But from my perspective, this sort of thing happened all the time. I would interrogate my art model to learn their darkest wishes, and then I would grant them. Most people who were drawn to apply to the euphoria modeling gig generally had some sort of unspeakable darkness buried inside. Birds of a feather flock together, as they say. If I determined that I was able to grant their wish, and that they truly craved it from the bottom of their heart, I would respond to their email. That said, I rejected any desires pertaining directly to death. Not that I was afraid to die, but there was no coming back from it. Once I was dead, there was nothing left to look forward to. I could generally find out if someone's desire was the real deal by talking to them about it. It helped that I could observe their emotional reactions through their smoke. If it wasn't the real deal, then I called the whole thing off on the spot. Thus far, I had never made the wrong call. By making use of my conversational skills and their smoke, I could get a near-perfect read on people. This made them easy marks to manipulate. No one who modeled for me ever spoke of their euphoric episode to a third party. I only chose the ones who I knew wouldn't turn around and regret it later. That was why I often went a few months in between pieces. Why was I so committed to drawing people's dark desires? Well, for one thing, it interested me, and for another, I lived for the exact moment when my model's dream came true, and their every trace of rationality melted away like butter. Chapter 1. Base. End. Wow. I wonder what Ikuina's gonna say to the doctors about what happened. They're gonna be like, Sergeant, for all these cuts. Like, we cut each other. They're gonna be like, I'm sorry, what? We cut each other open. We explore the inside of the flesh. They're gonna be like, oh, what? Oh my god. That was a crazy episode. Episode chapter. Yeah, same shit. After Taku patched me up back at the clinic, he ordered me to stay and recuperate until I regained my strength. This, too, always happened after a euphoric episode. He would hover at my side and nurse me back to health. And since he already did my laundry and cleaned my apartment, It wasn't much extra work, but Ray warned him not to neglect the clinic patients too much. According to Ray, Taku was a kind and generous person who tended to get tunnel vision when he focused too hard on one thing. He and I had known each other for a long time, but even then, Ray felt he was often overly protective of me. After a week of medical treatment, I was able to sit upright again. And although I was in less than stellar condition, I started camping out in my room to paint. Before Ikuina's contribution faded away entirely, I puked it all out of my system, steadily drowning my white canvas in paint. Now that I had entered the painting stage, I had become a single-minded robot. Neither Taku nor Ray tried to interact with me. They just watched from the doorway. Anytime they tried to speak to me while I was painting, I just ignored them. I didn't turn the TV on like normal, nor did I take smoke breaks. If at any point my brush fell still, it was to stare blankly into space or pass out on the floor. Bro, that is like dedication right there. By this point, Taku and Ray had given up trying to change me, so they just let me do my thing. Only once I finished my art, whether that was in a week or a month, would I leave my apartment. This time, it took 2 weeks. I barely ate or drank the entire time, so I was emaciated and weak. Since it wasn't safe for me to be walking around in that state, Taku and Ray demanded that I contact them as soon as my art was finished. Still seated in front of the easel, I set down my paintbrush and pulled my phone out of the pocket of my coveralls. My fingers, stained with black paint, slowly typed out a message to the Taku Ray group chat. Help, I have fallen. A short while later, I heard the elevator arrive at my floor. Loud footsteps approached my door, then it burst open, and Taku ran in, dressed in his white lab coat. I nodded. With a sigh of relief, Taku walked up to me.
具合は大丈夫か？
酒が飲みたい。
その前に飯だろ。レイに何か買ってきてもらうから待ってろ。
He pulled his cell phone out of his coat pocket. The conversation brought all my senses back to life. Overwhelming fatigue set in at once. When I was painting, I scarcely felt the need to eat or use the restroom, literally at all. Then once I finished, it would all come crashing down on me. Too exhausted to stand, I slumped over at the easel.
少し横になったらどうだ？
Once he was done talking to Ray, Taku walked over and crouched down beside me. He pulled my lower eyelid down, pressed a palm to my forehead, and checked a few other vitals.
とりあえずは大丈夫そうだな。
And then he looked over at the canvas in front of us and gasped. What I had painted was a bloody, fleshy flower in full bloom. Observed from a distance, it looked like a human silhouette. Taku stared at it for a moment, then looked back at me.
相変わらずすごい絵だな。俺は芸術方面は点で疎いが、お前の描く絵がとんでもないってことはわかる。だから、お前が絵を描くための題材を求めるのも理解しているつもりだ。ただ、あまりのめり込みすぎるなよ。いくら題材とはいえ、相手は人間なんだから。
I looked down at my feet without responding. Taku had never approved of me sleeping around, but he knew no amount of chastising me would get me to stop, so thought he'd given up. To him, the euphoric episodes were like a sex thing. Granted, this wasn't altogether wrong, but I was a grown adult who didn't need to be babied. I was starting to think Ray was right about Taku being overprotective.
レイが来るまでもうちょっと待ってろ。
He must have interpreted my silence as complete and utter exhaustion. He patted me lightly on the shoulder and straightened up. Muted? Okay, I'm not muted. I got worried for a second.
それじゃ仕事に戻るぞ。何かあったらすぐ連絡しろよ。
ああ。
と、そうだ。
Right as he opened the door to leave, he seemed to remember something. He turned back.
生稲さん、無事に退院したらしいぞ。それと、レイと話してたんだが、もうすぐクリスマスだろ。レイが店でパーティーやるから来いって言ってたぞ。もうそんな時期なんだよな。早いもんだ。
Shaking his head, Taku walked out. In his absence, silence filled the room. I slowly rose to my feet, grabbed the remote off the coffee table, and switched on the TV. All my life, I despised silence. For some reason, quiet places felt intensely suffocating and always made me break out in a cold sweat. TV static, however, was reassuring. It always filled the void with its loud, endless drone. I dropped down on the sofa, then grabbed my cigs and lighter off the table. Ikuina had been discharged, but I felt nothing. The interest in a given art model ceased to be after the euphoric episode was over. Like a one-night stand, my life moved on without them. I lit a cigarette, took a long drag, and slowly exhaled. Come to think of it, I had received a few more model inquiries while I was painting. Decided to look at them later. For now, I would enjoy the bitter taste of nicotine on my tongue. Please, grant me thy salvation. Are we going to church? I'm. Chapter 2. Doctor. So are we dealing with somebody who's a doctor? Well, let me think. Do I want to start this new chapter now? I don't think I will. You're right. I will save the start. Well, technically we did start it a little bit. Actually, no. This is not even supposed to be one. Yeah. So yeah, I think I will save it for next video. Because technically, I wanna kinda keep it together, if that makes sense. Like, so basically I don't want to have like chapter 2 bleeding into like chapter 1, if you get what I mean. So yeah, Thank you guys for watching the video. Actually, hold on. Let me not do it. Thank you guys for watching the video. If you liked it, obviously, you know, give it a like, subscribe to the channel. I do stream almost every day, unless obviously, you know, otherwise, what's the word? Otherwise stated. And I guess Slow Damage and Cerise are now going to be my two. Wait, is that the painting that he did? I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted. It's just, I just noticed it out of the corner of my eye. I'm like, hold on, wait a minute. That wasn't there before, was it? Well, I'm pretty sure y'all watching the video can instantly just scroll back to like the beginning of the video and check for me. But yeah. Anyways, thank you guys for watching the video, and I will see you in the next one.